Hey everybody, this is Grace. In this video, I'm going to talk about, well, a few things. But first, it's a my story video. Earlier today, I had made public a video about my story about Stephen the Stalker. And I had forgotten when I uploaded that video, this was a while back, that I didn't want to make it public. But I did. I scheduled it out. I put it on age restriction first, age restricted, and then made it scheduled it out to be published, in about 15 minutes or whatever time it was. And then I remembered that no, I don't want to make that one public because of some of the things I mentioned. Even as age restricted might not be good. So, okay, and basically it was about, like I said, Stephen the Stalker. Who passed, is no longer on this planet. About him, more of his background and the things that he had made threats about and stuff. And I was basically saying he was a really bad guy, and he was a really bad guy. But he didn't seem like it at first, and I truly think that and I have good reason, I'm not just making, this up in my mind, that he was a psychopath. I really do believe he was a psychopath. Did not know that, of course, at first, but after a while, yeah. Pardon the blinkers. But yeah, he was the guy, and like I said, was a really bad guy, but he didn't look like one. He looked like just a good fellow, a good kind of guy. And like I said, you wouldn't think it, I wouldn't think anybody would think it just by looking at him that he was so bad. But I should have, because I grew up with and still know several guys that they don't look it, but yeah, they're not good guys. Okay. And so after I had made that public, like I said, I figured out I didn't want to make it public, so I put it on private. I think one person saw it, one view. And anyway, but it made me think about the bad guys I grew up with, and some of them I still know. So my mind went down that road, and about, but it also involved Stephen. Okay, now when I have videos about Stephen the Stalker, and so I'll link those at the end of the video. But as it involves Stephen, because I think it was one or two times I had tried to hide from him. Okay. Now, this is a guy who had threatened me and my family, so it involved a lot to hide. It wasn't just like I could do it, and yeah. But I didn't have really a place to hide, and I think it was more kind of like, what do they call it? Hiding in plain sight, or not really that, but I hid in a place where he would know. But he was afraid of those guys. Yeah, it was at my mom's. He was afraid also. He was afraid of the people that I knew there. Okay. Plus, Stephen didn't have his driver's license. He didn't own a car. He would take off in his dad's car. Now, this was a man in his 40s. Okay, and he would did with his dad because I really don't know. I didn't believe much of anything he said once he became this stalker kind of guy, and once he showed his true colors, because a lot of it was just pathological lying with him. So I don't know why he was living with his dad's. I don't know why he didn't have his driver's license. And I didn't think that he would go. That was like 7-hour drive away. I don't think he would steal his dad's car. He had several times. Yeah, he stole his dad's car and came after me, but not there. Not 7 hours away. Okay. Plus, like I said, he knew that that's not the place he wants to be. Okay, I grew up there. I mean, I'm not saying it's all real bad and everything like that, but yeah, you have, in any place, you have that kind of thing. And, we got some bad guys, bad women for that matter, and, he had a clue. Stephen had a clue. Okay, I think I went there more than once, but there were also other things going on, like I needed to take care of my property, and that's there, and, so on. And one time, and maybe twice, I went there. My mother had dementia, and I would stay there at her house, help the other sibling that would take care of her, and we traded off and on. But this sister owned a restaurant there, and she no longer owns it there. I don't know anybody there that, I mean, it's one or two people that I'm close to if I wanted to go visit now, but not family. Anyway, this sister owned a restaurant, and while I was there and I wasn't working, I would go and work at her restaurant, and I even did the hostess thing. I wasn't any good at waiting tables, no, but I could do the hostess thing. And so while I was there, I showed a picture of Stephen to some of them, my sister and other ones, and they couldn't believe it. They just could not believe that I was with such a bad dude, and neither could I. When I look back, I'm like, what was I thinking? What was going on? I remember back then I was saying it was a midlife crisis. Well, that was too young for a midlife crisis. But, yeah, I don't know. What was I thinking? I know I was in a bad situation as it was when I met him. And, yeah, it's never a good time to go and meet somebody. Yeah. And like I said in other videos, the only reason I met him was because I hadn't done things like fishing and, outdoor things and since I was young. And very young, and I figured he was a guy. I met him online that would be that type. Boy, he liked to go fishing and stuff, but man, really bad dude, seriously. So I've kind of jumped all over the place. Now, one of the times I went there, when I was working in my sister's restaurant, well, there was a guy who, here I am running away from a stalker, which I know, in the back of my mind, I knew he would never go there because he knew that I was pretty much protected. And but here I was running away from this stalker, all the problems that caused as it was. And I'm there, I'm not knowing what I'm going to do. I'm having to deal with my property. And there was a man who was throwing his weight around. I kind of knew him. I knew him over the years a little bit, had to deal with him. But it wasn't anybody I would associate with. And anyway, he was throwing his weight around. And I really got tired of it. It was causing me so much problems. And I did something I don't feel bad about. I really don't have any remorse for doing it at all. I think I grew up there. I knew the culture there. I knew how things worked there. It's not the same as, people would say it doesn't work the same way as the outside world, and people would make jokes about that they have a barrier around that place that you have to get up to warp speed to penetrate to get to there. That was Michael had said it. Michael, the other late ex-boyfriend. But yeah, get to warp speed. Anyway, it did work different. Things worked in different ways there than the outside of them. Yeah, and it's a part of Texas. Yeah, I knew that men, some men, not all of them, this is not 100% across the board with any of it, but some men threw their weight around and tried to, harass women, and, to show that they're the big man on campus kind of thing, attitude. Well, I have mentioned nothing in the past about tough girl, and you grew up, I never liked when I heard people say that, Southern women is the way they put it, are really, just wimpy, I guess, just easily pushed over or whatever, however they say it. I'm thinking, where did you hear that from? Where did you see that? No. But like I said, where I lived, it didn't work the same on the outside. So we were tough. We learned to be tough early on. But still, when it came to the men were tough too. Not all of them, not all of us. And I knew that this man is harassing me. I'm dealing with running away from a stalker and all that. So I'm working at my sister's restaurant, and in walks this guy that I knew. Okay. I hadn't thought about it, but yeah, I knew him. I knew him from since he was a little boy because I babysat him. And he wasn't much younger than I. And he was a VIP, okay. And I went up to him and I said, this guy's harassing me. And, while he was dining, he was there to dine. And he said, well, what's he doing? Or, I just told him what he's doing. He goes, don't worry about it. I'll take care of it. And he did. Okay. And that's how things work there. That's how things worked there when I was young, and it did then. That he took care of it, not in any illegal way, as far as I know. No. These were just men who, they had their ways. Okay. No, it wasn't something like they're going to go beat up one another or anything like that. No, or, kill each other. No, nothing like that. But I knew that's how it worked there, so I went and told him. And anyway, after that, I told my sister that owned the restaurant. She was there at the time, and she said, oh, no, you didn't. You did not do that. And I said, oh, but I did. And I don't feel bad about it. I'll do it again. Because that guy was really harassing me, bullying me, and all this kind of stuff. And there was no way that I would be able to handle, to take care of it. I knew that there was no way that I personally would be able to do anything, to say anything that would stop him. But my male friend did. He could, and he did. So now, over the years, I grew up in this. I grew up in that, and it becomes a part of you, especially something that happens early in age, how you think, how you see yourself. Now, I went to college and university, taught at college and university. My degrees are in psychology and sociology. Of course, I know the difference and all that, but still, there were times over the years I would go back there. Sometimes it was to take care of my mom. I'm saying she passed. Goodness, I keep forgetting how many years ago was that? 7 or 8? I don't know. It was a long time ago. Not really long ago, but anyway, I had thought, maybe I should have stayed there. I moved around a lot. I mean, I've lived in several states, a lot of towns and cities, mainly cities, big cities, and suburbs. But I think, maybe I should have. I know that I run the risk of, being nostalgic and, having a more romanticized version of it. And yeah, I know it wasn't all good then. I've done videos about it. So yeah, I know there's bad there and all that. But over the years, it started getting hit by hurricanes. One of my houses there, it got hit by, I don't remember which, I think it was Hurricane Rita. It was one of them. And I think it got hit by 3 different hurricanes. Oh my goodness, bad. But it actually imploded and exploded. It was big trees. I mean, trees that probably been there since who knows when. Big, huge roots just uprooted and all that. So, yeah. And I've mentioned that I've been trying to just get rid of that property. And I think I'm succeeding. Time will tell. Hopefully soon. But no, with the hurricanes that hit there, no, it wouldn't have been good. But I would like to find a place similar to it, but not at the same time. Not, more where women have to go to men to be protected. To get something done. But I tell you, after that, I didn't get messed with, and everybody, associated with that guy treated me with respect. Like it should be there. You shouldn't have to, run to somebody to be respected. That's just not right. It's all kinds of wrong. I'm not like this now. I stand up for myself, and everything. But if I were there and I was being bullied by someone that I knew I couldn't in any way handle myself, legal, whatever, I would turn to, one of my male friends again. I would do the same then. There. Because I knew the culture there, and I knew what it took there. And it's not, like I said, it's not like the rest of the world. It's not. But I don't know. Things have changed there. Like I said, I don't have any family there anymore. But I do have, know a couple people. I know some people there. And I'm not really, I don't know. I know some people there, and I hear from them that it's changed a lot. And Not in a good way. I'm thinking, okay, since when is it different? But yeah. So, that sister that I mentioned, she moved out of that area. I don't know how long ago, just a few years ago. And she told me one time that since then, she said that now she realizes what the rest of us saw was the truth about that. And she said once you're outside of that, yeah, you see the ways things work in a different way. Outside of that bubble, yeah. Anyway. Okay, I went and ate lunch. Anyway, so I don't know where I left off, but I had mentioned in, I think, the first video I made on this series about my story that it was rough where I grew up, and a dysfunctional environment to some degree. And then I mentioned in another one, I think it was the 10th one or something, it has some good points, and that's how it is. I think that's how it is anywhere. And but as I've been saying, it worked a bit different than other places. And I could be nostalgic and romanticizing it, but I would like to live in a place smaller where people actually know you. You know, not everybody. You know, there where I grew up, people, I've said that before, people pretty much knew everybody, or they knew somebody who knew them on that line. But I don't know, where I live now is kind of very cold and impersonal, you know, just very cold. And overall, not everybody, of course, in any of this. But when you never really see anybody working in the same place, even that, you know, just going to some restaurant, or you know, there's no Cheers kind of restaurant, you know, Cheers place. And plus, the jobs are usually like, I've called them for years revolving door jobs. The people work there just a short while and then they go back out that door. So, anyway, speaking of, you know, I was talking about Stephen the Stalker. Growing up there, seriously, people learn different things that would be considered the norm. And that is like what I call now stalking. Although stalking usually has some kind of control behind it, power control, and it could even, you know, a bad intention or outcome, But there it was. I mentioned this in a video. People, you know, girls, females, once they were able to drive, or somebody was able to drive them around, and they had a boyfriend or something like that, they go by, or they like to avoid, they go by their house, drive around, and they do that same thing as adults. And just drive around their houses at night and see what they're doing. I shouldn't laugh. No, that was we grew up seeing that as a norm. I did not agree. Anyway, and yes, I grew up being thought of as a little bit on the different side. Oh, whoa. I actually had a neighbor one time tell me that I was the only one that made any sense in my family. And I made them make sense to other people, something like that. But I was the only one that made sense. You can tell a kid that, you know, I would think I was a teenager. No matter, you know, even though it was probably true. But you just don't tell them, you know, say things bad about their family. And anyway, I don't know, this is taking me down memory lane. And again, anytime I make these videos about there, I go down memory lane. I think about some of the good and some of the bad, you know, and some of a lot of the good was that really like a country feel to it. You have to drive out to go to the countryside of it. But you know, like wooden bridges, and people sat on the edge of them and fished, you know. Seriously, out in the sun and woods surrounding it. Back then things were different. You know, people left their doors unlocked during the day. At nighttime they locked them, but during the day, no. You know, especially if they had kids. Kids were able to go hiking, you know. Not really hiking. It was be like a mound. They considered a mountain. And and go, just go out, do things that they can't do these days, really. So like I said, it's taking me down memory lane, and I probably will get stuck there for a while. But I do want to say, I did want to talk about, it's not like, I've seen women who are histrionic, had histrionic behaviors. I'm not diagnosing, but histrionic behaviors. And they were talking about what their life is now, like they have a police officer across the street. And I think in a way that's a, that's the thing that online, some feel so threatened. I have a police officer that lives across the street. I actually do. I think I haven't told that story yet about how I found out. It was pretty funny. He scared the hell out of me, in other words. Yeah, he scared the hell out of me, and he was standing at my door. He was dressed in dark. He had dark hair, a big, huge, Incredible Hulk kind of guy. And I did not know that's what he was. I slammed the door, screamed a scream I have never heard come out of my mouth before or since then. Really more like out of my lungs. Yeah, because he scared me, and it turned out he was a police officer. But he had apparently seen something suspicious outside, and around my house. So, and it was kind of something. That's why I opened the door. Anyway, no, it's a long story. I'm not going to make sense on that one. But I understand this video is not me trying to be like that. This video is me telling my story. So, anyway, I'm going to go ahead and wrap this up. I'll talk to you on another video. Bye.